Hey guys, welcome to Site Lap for round 4 at Highpoint. I'm your host, Brent Bowser. We're here joined with our guy who will be at Highpoint this weekend, Jeff Beaver. What's going on, Jeff? How are you?
I'm good, man. Just getting ready to go out there. It looks like the weather's going to be nice. I was talking to Ping about it today. No rain in the forecast. It's supposed to be 78 degrees on Saturday, but if it's really humid, that'll suck. But at least it's going to be dry. It won't be a mud fest.
Yeah, I was looking at the weather. So it looks like Friday is going to be around 85 with some scattered thunderstorms, which who knows how it is back in the East Coast, right? That's just the name of the game. So who knows if we'll have any rain or how they'll prep the track for potentially any rain. But looks like Saturday is going to be nice, 81 and Sunday or and sunny, which isn't too hot. I don't know how the humidity is back there, but we're getting back to the East Coast. I think these guys are probably going to be pretty excited to be back there, and it shouldn't be too hot, so it should be a pretty fun event.
Yeah, dude. My nuts are going to be sticking to my thigh. It's going to be humid.
Right on. Well, before we get too far into this, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Rock and Turf. So if you're in the market for artificial grass, changing mats, things like that, check out Rock and Turf. Baja Designs, they're a big part of our dual sport bike builds. Factory Connection, best suspension in the game. No hands down. We have it on all of our test bikes, and you'll see Dylan Ferrandis on Factory Connection suspension this weekend. And I want to jump straight into this weekend. 250 class, we saw Degan go 3 for 3. He's won 3 overalls. We saw Hymas get in there. But I really just want to start with, does Degan continue his run? I mean, he's been dominant. He's lost some motos, but he's won all 3 overalls. Um, I think he's the man to beat, but it's been cool to see. We'll talk about the other guys, but what do you think about Haiden? I feel like he took that second moto on the chin. He gave props to Chance. Chance had a great moto, but still, I mean, Deegan's got a 23-point lead over those guys, and I feel like he's pretty confident right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet against him. He's riding very, very well. Definitely the aggressor. I mean, I think he's gonna do it. I do think Vialle may sweep in there and get a moto win. I was talking to Dave this morning. He said one of the things about that track is it favors the Europeans.
Mhm.
Uh, the Europeans have always done very well at High Point. They leave it rutted up. That track, I think, will rut up like it always has. I don't think they're going to do like they did with the West Coast track prep. I think it's going to be classic High Point. That is the command center for MX Sports. I think it's going to be rough. I think it's going to be rutted, and I think it's going to be nasty. And the guys who grew up racing in the ruts and all that kind of crap in the off cambers, it's going to favor them. I think Dave was right about that. So kind of 50-50 on Vial and Degan, but I still think Degan's going to squeak it out.
Yeah, I was kind of curious if, because typically in the past, Unadilla or High Point, I mean, is typically very ruddy, but we've seen with the track prep this year that they've kind of not dug it as deep, right? We saw at Paula, we saw Hangtown, we saw Colorado, which has really led to some good racing. They're able to open up the track a lot. But I'm curious when we go into High Point, typically it's a very ruddy track with a lot of off cameras, and like you said, it's the European riders are pretty good at those conditions. But I wonder if it's going to be this. Do you think it's going to be the same, or do you think they're going to take this new approach of kind of not ripping it as deep?
I think Davy's going to dig to China. I think they're going to rip it to where bikes just disappear in the ruts. I think they're going to go completely full tilt the other way. That's my thought.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past, right? I mean, it's a very ruddy track, and which I think is good because so far we've had 3 tracks on the West Coast. Typically, Hangtown and Colorado are pretty ruddy, but I feel like for the most part, the tracks have been very fast and not very ruddy. So if we go to High Point and it's deep, we might see some different results, right? Because we've 3 rounds in, we've had pretty much kind of the same track conditions. So Deegan's obviously excelled on those. And you mentioned Tom Vialle uh, being from Europe, and I feel like that would kind of suit his style more. But honestly, I looked at um, last year results, and Vialle got 5th place. So I mean, yeah, it was a good track for him, but like I would expect him to be maybe farther up. I know it was his first year
Yeah,
and
I
all
think he's a
that.
lot better rider than he was this time last year. I mean, he got his first win at Southwick, but I think
Yeah.
he'll definitely be a cut above where he was last time. Um, if you look at the track prep, Hangtown needed something. That track has just sucked the last couple years. They still, I think, need to fix the first turn. There's just always an issue there, but
Yeah. Yep.
the track prep there needed to change, and the track prep of Colorado needed to be changed. I don't think anybody liked the slot car racing except the best rut riders in the world. But High Point, I think, is you're going to get what they give you, and if you don't like it, ride better. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just the way that one's going to be.
It has been fun though to watch. I've enjoyed the track prep so far because again, it's allowed those guys to kind of search around for lines, and we saw Chase do what he did at Hangtown. So it's definitely made for some good racing. But I think, like you said, this weekend will be pretty ready, and we'll see how those guys handle that. Uh, Speaking of 250 class, we talked about Degan and Vialle. Chance Hymas, he goes 4-1 last weekend for second overall, and the dude second moto, he led a lot of moto or a lot of laps at Hangtown. And so when he got out front in Colorado, I'm like, okay, we'll see where this goes and see if Deegan was in second, see if he can catch up. But I mean, his lead went from like 5, 6, 7 seconds, and it stabilized there. And I was pretty impressed. I know Chance's, I've heard on a lot of different interviews, he's found things with his body, with diet and stuff like that, that has really helped him on the bike. He hasn't really gone into too much detail, but that was impressive, man. He was out front, and there was no one really challenging him the whole second moto.
Yeah, like I said, I heard out of Deegan's mouth himself. He goes, "I gave it everything I had. I couldn't get him." So, and for a while there, he was gaining a second a lap. One of the flaggers over that big step up triple deal thing in the bottom was timing him, and he goes, "Dude, he's getting a second a lap on him right now." So,
Wow. Yeah.
Hymas was the real deal there, and he has rode very, very well this year. And I would not be surprised to see him on the podium again at High Point.
Yeah, do you think he can keep it rolling and be in this title fight, or do you think he'll just be more of a podium threat? Do you think now that he's second in points tied with Vial, they're both 23 back. Do you think he could be a title contender, or do you think that he is just going to be a podium threat and maybe mix it in here and there?
I think it's too early to tell. I think High Point will tell us a lot about whether he's a title contender. If he rides like he did at Thunder Valley, then yeah, you got to pretty much consider him. But I mean, he's got the right people behind him. I mean, he's got Johnny O and Lars and all those guys on his side, and Jett and Hunter are helping him. I mean, the kid's got every tool in the toolbox. It's like walking into a mechanic shop and having the biggest, baddest Snap-on toolbox. You got every tool you could need to work on anything you could ever want. You just got to get in there and do it, right? So
Yeah.
I think High Point will tell us a lot.
Yeah, and he's on factory Honda, right? Which is a coveted ride. He's got a lot of pressure, from there where Jett and Hunter both went on that bike. And it's his second year, and he's had a lot of injuries, had some decent results Supercross, had a podium last year in a moto. But yeah, that ride was a statement, and so I'm curious to see if he can keep it rolling. But I'm happy for Chance. He's had a lot of injuries since he's turned pro, and it's just cool to see a breakout ride for him.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be good.
Levi Kitchen, not the best. Started out strong at Paula. Hangtown was good. Thunder Valley was just eh. And I'm not sure if, and usually he gels with that track, but I don't know if he gels with that track normally because it's rutted, and the prep this year was different, so that wasn't his forte. But I expected more out of him. He got fifth overall at Thunder Valley. He got passed by Ty in that second moto, so and he lost points. He's now 25 points back. So he started the year strong, and I don't know if it's just maybe the tracks or if what can we expect from Levi this weekend.
I don't know, dude. That guy's got me confused as hell.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
I have no idea where his head's at or which direction he's going. Again, he's another one that High Point's going to tell us a lot about.
Yeah, because he was.
If he doesn't figure it out, if he gets down under 25 points, he's going to have Deegan cartwheel out of a moto to even think about getting back in there.
Yeah, what's crazy about it, where he had a good Paula. Hangtown, he was okay with it, and I even heard in an interview, Mitch was like, "Yeah, it's good, but we need more." And then he gets fifth. at Thunder Valley, which is he did really good there last year. Um, that I was just like kind of thrown off where he looked like he's in the fight at the beginning, and then that round maybe it was just a bad round. I guess we'll find out more, but I'm hoping more from Kitchen. I'm sure he expects more, and I'm sure Mitch expects more as well.
Yeah, I think Mitch probably wasn't too stoked on the fifth.
Yeah, for sure. And then you got Joe Shimoda. You got fourth last weekend. Um, he's had a moto podiums. He's just been never up front off the start, and he's been making his way through. He's 45 points back already, so I mean, man, that's a pretty big distance. But um, outside of those guys, is there anybody else that you think can get in there and challenge for podiums? I mean, there's a lot of talent in the class. We've had a lot of
I
ups
think
and downs.
Swole. I think Swole. He's got that win at High Point. He knows how to
Hmm.
to ride that place, and I don't think they're going to change it much. And he's been steadily going up. In his aggression riding. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Swole on the podium.
Yeah, and he's had a really good year. He's been surprisingly, I mean, obviously he's always been good off the gate, but even on that tramp, he's gotten good starts, and he's been that guy that's been around fifth to seventh all three rounds, and he's been solid, right? He's been there every moto. He hasn't had his crashes. I would be, yeah, and like you said, he had that moto win at High Point a couple years ago. It would be cool to see him get there in the fight. I still think it's a Degan Vialle fight, the title fight, and Kitchen. Hopefully, Kitchen can get back in this thing, and we'll see what Hymas does. But I feel like this 250 class is pretty wide open, but the top front guys have kind of separated themselves and from the rest of the pack. But it would be interesting to see if anybody else can get in there.
Yeah, I don't know if Masterpool's going to get in there yet, but he's coming. I really think he's heading that way.
Yeah, I was happy with Ty. I mean, think about Thunder Valley. He passed Levi at second moto, which I'm sure Levi wasn't too happy about that, but that had to feel good for Ty. And that first moto, he came from, I want to say like 20th to 8th. So he had a crash or something on the first lap, and he came all the way up. So it's been solid for Ty this year. And I know you put out a post on Instagram asking about Ty and what he'll do. So if you want to share that with what you asked the listeners and the people on Instagram.
Yeah, so we just put out a poll seeing that if Ty would kind of run down the top three by the end of summer, like what kind of asking if he did this, if he's going to do the same thing he did in the 450 class last year. 82% of the people who answered it said, yeah, that he would, so there's a lot of people out there believing that kid, and think he's the real deal. It's just got to get time on the bike and kind of understand what that bike's going to do, when it's going to kick, when it's going to hold, and I think he'll figure it out pretty quick and get after it.
Yeah, and I listened to an interview with Mitch where he said that he's been happy with Ty. He's been very easy to work with. He hasn't really changed a whole lot on the bike. He was on a Kawasaki 450, but still, I think it's cool. He's getting that opportunity, and he's again not being on the bike, but a day before Paula Fox Raceway. It's been pretty impressive. So I can think as the summer goes on, I can see him getting up there, and it would be cool to see him get on a podium for sure. And we all know he's good at Redbud, but it would be cool to see Ty on the podium by the year's end.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. It'd be a kind of a Cinderella story for that kid.
Anything else for the 250 class? I mean, those are your top guys. I want to see man, I want to see Jordan Smith get up in the mid because I know he's had a lot of bad motos. You have all those star guys. I mean, the class is stacked all the way to, the top 20 is basically on a supported ride. So it's 250 classes, in my opinion, really fun to watch. It's really unpredictable. Maybe sometimes the top guys, but I really enjoy looking forward to the 250 class on the weekend.
Yeah. I just want to see if like guys like Talon and Jett can step it up a couple positions. I'd definitely like to see that. Really interested to see what Mark Phineas does. And also Cody. I mean, Cody had kind of his best weekend last weekend.
He did, yeah. Yep.
Really want to see where the club guys end up as we get farther into the season.
Yeah, it's funny. You look back at the 10, 11, 12, 13th, it was like Jordan Smith and Cody Shock and those guys back there. And it's like, man, those guys rip. And they're, back in 10, 11, 12. So starts are important in this class, and it's hard to move your way forward because everybody's going similar speed. So Yeah, it should be a good weekend. Before we go into the 450 class, I want to get your 250 winner for this weekend.
My 250 winner for this weekend, I think it's gonna be Haiden.
I would agree. But since you picked Haiden, I'm going to go Tom Vialle. I think because, like you mentioned earlier, those track conditions, and he went for Haiden that second moto, or that first
It was
moto.
cute.
Yeah, and yeah, it was cute, and and you know, Hayden had his issue, and then which let Tom get there, and Tom got up there and ran it in. And he wanted to get back by him. I don't think there's any love lost there, which whatever reason, I'm sure they're competitors. It was like think about back in the day when Stewart and Reed and everybody was racing that no one liked each other, but you can definitely tell there's no love lost there, but it's definitely going to make for some great racing.
I think Tom probably like, what did I do to the guy? I don't get it, but whatever. I don't think he really cares either,
Yeah, I
He's
mean
got he's got a number one plate on his wall from Supercross, so
yeah.
he can kind of sit back and go, but yeah, I just think Hayden is one of those old school guys, almost like the beast from the East, he's he just he ain't your friend. He's just out there to win.
Yeah, and again, if he was just saying those things and wasn't backing up, then I think that'd be a different story. But I mean, he's 3 for 3, and Tom's no slouch. All those guys are no slouches. Tom is a two-time MX2 world champ, East Coast Supercross champ. I
I'd be
mean,
interested to see how things would go with Degan if it was Daxton Bennick challenging him.
yeah.
One of his best friends. If we ever see that, I want to see how that's going to play out. What Degan we see in that situation.
And also Chance. I mean, they kind of came up together through their amateur ranks and kind of went their separate ways, right? Like Degan went from KTM to Yamaha, and Chance went from Kawasaki to Honda. But they were kind of like come up together. So I'm curious if Chance keeps this going, if there's going to be any more shots fired at Chance's way, or if it's just more of
I
like,
think Deegan will pull out a pistol and shoot all of them dead right on the track if he could. I don't think he gives two squirts, dude.
I don't either.
He's gonna go for it.
That's awesome. So I'll take Vialle. You pick Degan. I think it'd be cool if Vialle wins and it'll tighten that points gap because Degan's got a 23-point lead over Vialle and Hymas right now. So it's almost already a moto and we're, 6 motos in. So definitely don't want anything to happen to Degan, but I want to keep this title chase going as long as we can.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got 9 or 10 overalls this year. It wouldn't surprise me.
No, and I was surprised actually that second moto at Thunder Valley. I was surprised, and I'm not saying to say Degan settled, but I was surprised that he was okay with getting a second. And again, he mentioned Chance was going really fast. So, but I don't know Degan Haiden very well or at all. But you would think with his mentality that he just want to go crush those guys, especially like Chance. Don't want to give him any confidence, and he just sat back and took that second, which is a smart move. He got the overall, but maybe he just learned a lot. But I just wonder if he had a little battle within his brain, thinking, "Man, I got to go get this kid. I don't want to give him any confidence that he beat me straight up."
Yeah, I mean, a kid who grew up reading Goggins and following his mantra, he's going to do everything he can, but he's also very, very smart for an 18-year-old kid. And his dad is not the guy who, I mean, everybody, I think you would think Brian's kind of the real aggressive dude, but I think at the end of the day, behind closed doors, Brian's the one dropping the best advice to Haiden. Brian Sharp, say what you want about the guy, but he's very, very intelligent. And he's probably like, hey, dude, all you need to do is finish second to get this. You got to think the long run. We want championships,
Yeah.
And so I think between his art of war kind of mentality that he gets from Goggins, and then his dad being the mentor that his dad is, and being super intelligent, I just think he's got the right mentorship. Plus, he's got Swanee and Bobby and all those guys. How to win titles. He's got Jay Coop in his corner and Tomac. I mean, I guarantee he's leaning on all those guys for what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, and it's been impressive. Second full year outdoors, and yeah, doesn't look like Doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon. So it's going to be a fun summer with those guys. Before we jump in the 450 class, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors again: Rock and Turf, Maxxis Tires, truck, mountain bike, dirt bike tires, any tires that you need, they got you covered. Speed Strap, tie downs and toe straps, Factory Connection, UR Water, which I'm sure you've been drinking a lot of that water at the races to stay hydrated, and Baja Design. So appreciate those guys. 450 class. And yeah, I don't want to jump into Jett right away. I want to jump into Sexton. After that ride he had at Hangtown to come from last to first, he just didn't have his day. He went 6.5 on the day. Had first moto. I feel like, yeah, he didn't get the best start, but he was right behind Jett and all those guys, and he just could not make up the gap at all. And then he ended up having that crash at the bottom of that hill. But before that, I don't know if he's struggling with I heard that they changed the bike, which I don't know why you would, because you had such a good ride at Hangtown. But anyway, they changed the bike. I don't know if he's struggling with that or what, but yeah, he just wasn't really moving forward as much as I thought in the beginning. And then, yeah, he had that crash, ends up finishing sixth. And then second moto, I mean, he came out guns a-blazing, and he tried to make that move on J. Coop over that little hip jump before the finish line. And, maybe he was trying to rush it because he knew Jett and Hunter were behind him. But so he goes down there, finishes fifth. But yeah, not probably what he was looking for after that ride he had at Hangtown.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's his decision-making skills that got him at Thunder Valley. I think he just needs to, imagine if he didn't go for that pass on
Mhm.
J. Coop and settled where he was, he'd have a lot more points.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know, I just think some of his stuff is just based on decisions, I mean, I think he fixed the tucking the front issue. Thank God, I was tired of hearing about that crap, but I just sometimes think it's a decision issue with Chase. He's still very young, dude.
Mhm.
Still probably wants to ram it in there and win it, and maybe he needs to settle for a third or a fourth from here and there, and think of the big picture when he goes in.
Yeah,
But
and I
again,
think
he's got one of the best in the world with Roger and Ian there on his side. He's got a great mechanic, so he's got good people in his ears. Is he listening?
yeah.
I don't know. I think kind of just everything I've seen the last couple of years, I'm kind of seeing there may be some decision making processes there. I know when he crashed, I saw his agent sitting on the side of the track, and I walked in and grabbed the water, and turned out, and his agent, I think, was heading to the bar. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's probably driving a few people to drink, but including me. When I saw him hit the ground, I was like, I almost want a beer now. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what to say about that guy. I mean, I couldn't compete on that level. I'd crash every 6 feet if I tried to ride one of those tracks, but I don't know. I, I think it's something in his head.
Yeah, and like you said, he is still young, and I don't know why, but when I think of Sexton, I think like, man, he's been in the class forever. But in
Yeah, you
reality,
think he's 30 or something like
yeah,
that. What are
right.
you,
He almost
22,
I think he's 24, but
23, or 23,
yeah,
24?
yeah, 23, 24. But I almost put him in the category as like Anderson, but he's not even close to that, right? Like how long Anderson's been in the class. But for whatever reason, maybe because that first year when he was outdoors and he was battling with Eli, right? It was just like right away. And so I don't know if that just makes me think he's been around longer, but he is still new, right? And it usually takes a couple years on a 450 for these guys to get their feet under him, where right away Chase was just good.
Yeah, Jet shot holes in your theory.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you think about most people like Villapoto and those
Or
guys, like,
Ricky, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but it's like he still is young, and like you said, he still maybe is, has to learn from these mistakes, which is unfortunate because you go from a good ride at Hangtown like that, which was like, next level, out of this world, to Thunder Valley, and it's like he made those mistakes, right? The first moto, again, I don't know what that crash down the hill. I saw a replay on TV, but if he had a hole there. But that second moto look was definitely a little rushed, but I think he was just probably trying to rush because Jett and Hunter were going so good the first moto, and he knew he wanted to get away, and yeah, it bit him. So it could have been a lot worse too. He got lucky when he hit that wall, kind of fell over rather than high sided and get flung over. So for him, luckily, it was fortunate enough that wasn't too bad that he was able to rebound. But yeah, he went from the points lead to six back of Hunter. So not a good weekend for Chase. So I'm sure he wants to bounce back this weekend. And then, yeah, Jett goes 2-1 for the overall. And if that's a wounded Jett, from the crash to Hangtown, then yikes. It's scary for everybody. You could tell he was sitting down a lot more and he wasn't riding his typical style, and those guys were closer to him than normal, I would say, but he got it done. He went 2-1 for the overall and yeah, made up some points.
Yeah, and one of the things I heard behind the podium as soon as he came off the bikes was he said, "Hey, my knees are killing me."
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So I'm sure the way he's riding is affecting some things. I'm sure he smacked the crap out of his knees when he hit the ground, and so there's more than just the gash in his leg that is bothering him and his shoulder. But I I mean, what do you say? I thought he was going to be fourth or fifth at Thunder Valley, and he went 2-1. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That crow tasted like shit. So I'm not even going to pretend to say what he's going to do this time, other than he'll probably win.
Yeah, I want to say he catfished all of us, everybody that was talking about this weekend going to, or last weekend going to Thunder Valley. Everybody's thinking, is he's going to be wounded? How will he do late in the moto? All those things. And he just said that. I mean, think about it. That second moto, he got those guys not late, but somewhat late. So when you thought maybe at the end of the moto his shoulder was going to give out or his legs or whatever it may be, Hunter almost got him back, but still he pulled it off. And yeah, you got to be impressed by Jett, especially after taking a fall like that. Most people don't recover that quick.
Yeah, that was something else, dude. Something else. One of the other questions we asked the
Hmm.
Instagram viewers this week was, will Jett go on another win streak? And 78% of the people said yeah, and that one had a lot of responses, well into the 300-400 people responded to that. So I'd say the majority of our followers think he's going to go on another tear.
And are you thinking moto win streak or overall win streak? Or are you just going back straight to the motos? You think he's
Moto win streak.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's too far fetched because this weekend might be a little different because I feel like at Mount Morris Highpoint he's going to have to use his legs a lot, especially in those if it's ruddy, he's gonna be trying to stand a lot. So we'll see because Colorado wasn't as ruddy as normal, is pretty hard pack, and so he's probably able to save a lot of energy that way. So I'm just curious with his riding style. Typically through the ruts he's standing a lot, so will it make a difference? I don't know. He's got one more week to heal up, and then
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's got another week of healing, and all he's got to do to get through High Point, and then he's got
yeah,
14 days to heal
yeah,
up and rest.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is this might be the last opportunity these guys have to kind of get at him before he gets 2 weeks off and can really rest up. So
If I was one of those team managers, I'd be making him watch the Karate Kid and at the All Valley tournament, sweep the leg.
yeah, yeah. So that'll be interesting this weekend again. If he wins again this weekend, and he's got 2 weeks to recover even more, then yeah, it's gonna be a fun series.
Yeah.
Hunter gets his first moto win on a 450, Hunter Lawrence. And I wanted to say he's been really impressive to start the season. I want to say he had a solid Supercross season for being a rookie, but he's really surprised me outdoors. I thought he was going to slot in kind of where he was in Supercross with the APs and Andersons and those guys, but I feel like he's kind of separated himself and he's been there pretty much every moto. It's been impressive. I've been really impressed with Hunter. He's been solid all year, and he's your points leader. He's got the red plate, so it's gonna be cool to see number 96 red plate on a Honda.
Yeah. The dude definitely knows how to ride, and if anybody's going to beat him straight up, I think, or beat up on Jett and actually go heads up with him right now, just from what we've seen, it's going to be his brother.
And that had to feel good the first moto, getting out front, and then your brother's behind you, and then Jett was pretty much done. He had that 7 second lead or so, and then the second moto, Jett's out front, and Hunter pushes him right to the end. Right, he wanted to get him pretty bad, but still, like even though Jett was hurt, Hunter was there with him the entire race, and it made life hell for him. So yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting to see if those two get in this championship fight and how the brothers can handle it.
Well, when we were sitting behind the podium before everybody went up while they were recovering, he just had a kind of 1,000-yard stare on his face. I mean, he had snot coming out of his nose. I mean, that dude gave it everything he had. He's a friggin' savage, right? But he just had this like effing kid, kind of look on his face. And when I looked at him, I started thinking about that Moto meme from 2 years ago about, you know, I couldn't smother him with a pillow, could I? Almost want to take him a pillow at High Point and go, here, I got the problem solved for you. Just toss
Yeah.
him a pillow, see what he does.
It's one thing if it's just somebody else, but it's got to be weird if it's your brother, right? Big brother, little brother fight, and they seem like obviously, the family unit's pretty solid, but I don't think we've ever seen this, especially at the 450 class. And so, if they, if it's a title fight between those two when it comes down the end, it might be a little interesting.
I think if it came down to like the last round, last corner, they're gonna wipe each other off the map for that bonus check. And I think Dazzy would probably say, "Hey, you guys are brothers after the race. Get it? Just nothing dirty, but whoever wins it wins it. But
Yep.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them treated the other one like they're on the golf course and just started beating the shit out of each other for that check."
Yeah, we saw over in the Supercross, or the overseas Supercross before the season started, where Jett ended up hitting Hunter and taking him down, which it was after the whoop section. So, but it was just funny, like two brothers, and he gets, Hunter gets cleaned out. So yeah, I'm sure they're all, all men for themselves on the track. But yeah, after the race, then obviously
I'd
the
have put icy hot in his boxers after the race. Enjoy that.
I wonder if they do any of that stuff. Right? They're getting dressed together. Like who knows what's going on in there? So
I
that's
would. I'd get him.
yeah.
I'd do it right before the moto.
Put icy hot in his gloves and see how well he
Oh,
can
could
hold
you
on.
imagine icy hot in somebody's Ethicas right before the
Dude,
moto? Watch, he goes
dude.
out and smokes you by like 4 minutes just so he can get
To
into
get
the
off.
race called. Yeah. Oh shit.
I wonder if it'd
That
be
that'd be the most epic thing ever.
I wonder if it'd be any worse than have you ever had it to where I've had it a lot of times, I know other people have, where you put gas in your bike, you forget to tighten the gas cap, and then you go out there and hit a jump and the freaking gas cap flies off and you got gas all over your nuts and you're like, oh, it'll dry. No, 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 no. You got to get off and get those bad boys washed off. So,
I've had gas spill on me, but I was an off-road rider, so I just go find the nearest creek and go sit in the creek, play with myself a little bit, and then go back to riding.
no shit. Don't wish that upon anybody.
No.
Jake Coop goes 3-3. He leads both motos, both hole shots. He led longer in that second moto than he did the first moto, but it was still 20 plus minutes first moto, 25 plus minutes second moto. He's been good at Thunder Valley in the past, but man, I was impressed, Jay Coop, and I feel like his speed is solid. And they interviewed Jeremy Coker on the broadcast, and he even said he's good for about 25. He just needs that couple extra minutes. And even heard an interview from him. Justin Cooper said typically in 250 class you sprint for 15 minutes and get that gap, nothing to worry about. Well, 450 class is a little different, but I overall, I mean, that was solid and he's got the speed. If he just gets that little bit more, I think he's going to be up there with those guys.
Yeah, so again, another thing we asked our followers was, would Justin Cooper improve on his position at High Point over Thunder Valley? And 80% of people said yes, and that was another one that had a ton of responses, so a good cross section. And I kind of agree, dude. I could see him battling with Hunter even. He's got his big boy pants on and he's in the premier class now. The dude's smart. He's got good race smarts, and you watch him on the line, dude, and he looks like he's making the decision what rifle to get out and shoot somebody with. Like I would not want to piss that guy off in a life or
Yeah.
death situation, dude. He's very cold and calculated, and you can just see it in his eyes when he's on the line, dude. Don't mess with that dude, and he doesn't play when it comes to the gate drop. And I think he's just going to get better and better. But the cool thing is no matter what happens, if he keeps riding the way he's riding, even if Star doesn't keep him, he's going to end up on an
Yeah.
elite team.
Yeah.
He's it's not like he's going to go down to a B level team. He's going to be at Kawasaki or at Honda, or Red Bull, KTM, Gas, Husky, somewhere. He's going to end up on a factory bike. So either way, it's working good for him. And I honestly, personally think Star is going to keep him. And the way he's riding, it's like, hey, the kid's not that old,
No, not at
and he's
all.
got a killer pedigree.
Hmm.
I just think everything about him right now is just shining like a diamond.
Yeah, and it's weird how he gets overlooked sometimes because he's been solid since he turned pro. Obviously kind of came out of nowhere from the amateur ranks and turned pro and has been solid this whole time. And maybe just because he's not the loudest guy in the room or whatever, but
No,
he's
he's
solid.
definitely not the loudest guy in the
Yeah,
room, man.
no,
No.
right, yeah. And so it's been impressive. And yeah, his speed he showed up Thunder Valley. I was like, man, he's got it. So if he just gets that last couple minutes left and yeah, it is interesting with the whole star ordeal. You read things and hear things that, they're waiting on Tomac. Webb's got a bump in his contract for next year. And so he gets paid more. He kind of took a low salary because of Tomac and they're expecting Tomac to be out. But now that, it sounds like Tomac wants to come back next year and Jay Coop with the results he's had, he probably deserves a pay raise. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can make it happen there. Um,
Oh,
you know,
I guarantee you they're looking for some other funding source to keep all three of them.
Yeah, because right now he's the only guy, right? You got Webb and Tomac are out injured, and he's holding the fort over there, and he's doing a good job. So, yeah,
Oh, I'm
and
talking about trying to find the funds to keep Eli,
oh, for sure,
So
yeah, definitely, yeah,
and honestly, I think they're at the point. If I was the team manager, if I was Coker, I would take Cooper over. I'd take Eli. As crazy as that probably sounds, would you get rid of a guy who's got all that longevity and the trajectory he's taking? Will he ever be like Eli Tomac? I don't know.
yeah,
He's got some brilliance to him, but you've got a guy who's also on his last steps of his
yeah,
career. Do
yep,
you send a guy packing that has so much longevity and race wins and championship potential in him for a guy who's just wants to do it one more year? I mean, from a business perspective, I would keep Cooper.
yeah, for sure. It is. It feel like that's kind of throwing a wrench in things with Tomac, kind of iffy coming back or not. But yeah, hopefully they keep Jay Coop. Um, he deserves to have that spot. And like you said, if that doesn't end up working out, I'm sure he'll land somewhere. But he's been with that team his whole career, so I'm sure he wants to stay, and I'm sure they want him to stay as well. So solve for
Yeah.
Jay Coop. I think I want before we move on to AP, I want to ask a question about Jay Coop. Do you think he wins a moto this outdoors? I do. I think he gets, I think at one, at least
This
one.
outdoor season, do you think
Yeah,
he wins a moto? Yeah,
I
for
agree.
sure.
And from especially what we saw at Thunder Valley, and he might need some help from guys going, Jett maybe getting a bad start, or whatever. But I feel like what he showed last weekend that he'll get at least one this summer. I'd be surprised if
I'd
he
love to
did.
see him get one at Unadilla. Just New York boy, right? That'd
Yeah,
be sick. That'd be sick
exactly.
for him.
It would be, yeah, for sure. Moving on, so we'll go to Aaron Plessinger. Yeah, he showed kind of like Chase. So I don't know if it was a KTM thing or what, but he had that good moto at Hangtown where he almost won. Chase got him that last lap, and then yeah, he went to Thunder Valley and he started up front that first moto and he kind of just went backwards. I think he went back to eighth, and then he ended up moving his way to fifth. So he mentioned that he was just struggling with his bike. But I expected more, especially after Hangtown, because again, Colorado's kind of the same soil, elevation's a little different, but just wasn't I don't think it was what AP wanted. And if you listen to the interview before the race, he said he had one of the best weeks of training and riding before a race. And so to kind of go out there and do that, I don't think it was what he was looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he was just preoccupied with the thought that they had the nerve to cut to him during the national anthem, and maybe that threw him off. But that dude was stoic as can be. Just
Big
that
old
lady wasn't even in his vision. He's just like, "Yep,
slick
nope."
back hair and
Oh, dude, that thing, yeah, yeah, going out of business in the front and party in the back was in full effect, and he was not having any of it, and I love it. That was pretty badass right there. That was a win right there. Just him
it
not
was.
even not even looking away.
Did
Just
he?
don't even
No,
think about it. That
dude,
was
he
sick.
he didn't even break eye contact with that flag.
Yeah, when Moto memes gets on it, you done something right? So or something really wrong, but
Yeah,
uh yeah, I don't know what's up with Aaron. Hmm.
I feel like I want to say he's, obviously this year I feel like stepping in the right direction. Supercross too, he got that win. Outdoors, he's been strong. He almost got that win at Hangtown. But I feel like there's some races where he's like super fast, then you have some where he's just kind of off the mark. And obviously Thunder Valley was that one, but yeah, no, I'd love to see AP up front. I think that the hair, maybe age is catching up because I think he had a lot more in the front a couple years ago.
Well, now the hair's just a spoiler, you know. You should do it like put some gel in it, have it out the back like the old Troy Lee Designs fins, Give a
Yeah,
little when he's in
it's
the air when he helps his whips a little bit,
yeah, it's getting a little thin too. So maybe he needs to get sponsored with like Hims or something. But yeah, overall, I love.
Hims isn't for hair, is it?
I think you can get whatever you want, honestly. So,
Okay. Yeah, I hope he doesn't need Hims at that age. So
but yeah, so hopefully he can rebound. He did get second here last year in the 450 class at Highpoint. So, that's must be his kind of style of track. So yeah, hopefully he can get back to going, up front and just I want to see him get a
High
moto
Point's
win
not
this
too
year.
far from home either, That's
Yeah,
he's probably very comfortable in those kind of situations, rutted up and
yeah, for sure. And then, so lastly, is there anybody else, kind of the same question I asked in the 250 class, is there anybody else? You got Jett, Hunter, Chase, I would say kind of solidified them as the top three. Jay Coop's there too. Aaron's a little bit, I'd say, behind Jay Coop, but again, I think that's interchangeable. But do you think anybody else can kind of sneak in there? Anderson hasn't he's had good moto and a bad moto. It seems like every weekend. He's got the speed, but he's just inconsistent. Is there anybody else that you think can get in there? Yeah.
Malcolm's doing very well and he's definitely got the speed. It's just I think if that guy just wakes up one morning, decides to piss vinegar and get after it, I think he can do it. I think he could definitely go from running 910 to 5.6 somewhere around there. I don't think he's podium speed yet. I don't know. He's really looking forward to his fishing trip.
After this race.
Yeah, I put a post up what
I
was it
saw
this
that.
morning or
Yeah.
yesterday or something? And it
Yeah.
said, sadly, no fishing report. And he responded to me, hey man, after this weekend, man, the fishing report's gonna be lit. Stay tuned. So he's motivated to go fishing. So a bonus check would help buy a lot of fuel. So
yeah,
there's always that.
Yeah, no kidding. And again, Malcolm has the speed. It would be cool to see him get a start and get up front and see what he can do. Because he's like he usually starts around where he's finishing typically, back in 7 to 9 range. So yeah.
Could you imagine if we could be a fly on the wall for the conversation between him and James? James talks more shit than a farmer to him.
James like, dude, get up there. He's like, bro, fishing. So God.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see Malcolm outdoors. It'll be cool to see how it rolls into Supercross next year. I think that's like he mentioned that a lot in some of the interviews I listened to, where he's missed out on that building from Supercross outdoors back to Supercross, where he's had injuries where he's missed outdoors. So I think he's really looking forward to see what outdoors does for him this year, and then how it translates into continuing on into Supercross. So hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully he can get his way up front, and that'd be cool to see for Malcolm for sure.
Yeah, I'm stoked on that dude riding outdoors. I think it's rad. I always thought it kind of sucked having him out. And now you got him and AP running around in the summer. They're just great personalities to have out there in the paddock. The fans absolutely love them. So
yeah.
I hope his results improve. I think they will. And like I said on riders meeting, I think his being out and just finishing the outdoors, get through SMX, get through training is just going to be one hell of a foundation to build on for 25 Supercross.
Agreed. And one last person I want to give a shout out to in the 450 class is Barsha. He didn't have the Supercross season that he wanted until the very end. He kind of put it together. I know he got some different stuff on his bike, but I feel like, to start the outdoors, yeah, he hasn't been up front with Jett and Chase and those guys, but he's been, solid 4 to 6-ish range. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him land on a podium or two by the end of the season. So solid.
You know what that dude needs to do? That dude needs to cut off that Barbie haircut he's got. Go back to goatee and shaved head, Bam Bam.
Remember that?
And just turn into a frickin' savage and quit shopping at Estee Lauder and Louis Vuitton. Go back to Walmart looking Barsha, driving the old beat up Ford Ranger look, and just get some. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I remember that he came out as an amateur from an amateur to pro with the hair he has now. Then he went to the shaved head and the kind of the goatee, right? or the whole beard thing, and then now he's back to the golden hair. So, but yeah, good start for Barsha. I'm sure he wants more, but yeah, it started off a lot better than Supercross has. So pretty good to see. I want to finish off with the 450 point standing. So, Hunter Lawrence is now your red plate holder, which is pretty cool to see. He took away from Chase. Chase had that lead, and then obviously we saw what happened at Thunder Valley.
So what are the points right now on the 450s?
Yeah, so Hunter's got a 6 point lead over Sexton, and then he's got a 16 point lead over Jett, a 20 point lead over Jay Coop, who's in fourth, and then Aaron's in fifth, and he's 29 back. So the top four are within a moto. Aaron's just out of a moto reach, and it's still tight. Like I said, Sexton 6 back, Jett 16 back. Those we saw how it flip flop. Jett was 24 back after Hangtown. He's already made up 8 points. So
Yeah, Jett could come out of Highpoint with the red plate very easily.
yeah, it seems like a lot, but when you think about outdoors and 2 moto formats and points per moto, it's not as much as a Supercross, right? So Supercross, you think 16, you're like, well, shit, man, it's a pretty
You'd have
big
to have a
gap.
real bad day.
Yeah, pretty big gap. Where outdoors, 2 motos, anything can happen. Bike, first turn crash, whatever it may be.
Somebody's gonna grenade a bike this summer. It's gonna happen to somebody,
Yeah, and
Just
typically,
hopefully it's not AP or Malcolm.
right? Yeah, and typically you see that in the 250 class. I'll be curious to see if anything happens like that in the 450 class. But so yeah, I'm excited for Highpoint. It's been a good series so far, both classes, and we really haven't, other than Degan going 3 for 3, and then Hunter or then Jett before he had that crash. It feels like it's pretty open, but I still feel like you think of Jett as the favorite, even though they have those issues. Who do you have winning this weekend in Highpoint 450 class?
I don't know, dude. I'm bombed the 450 class.
Well, you redeem yourself here.
I'm gonna put Jay Coop back on the podium, second or third, and switch up and put Hunter on there, second or third. I don't know. I think those two are gonna round out the podium, and I think Jett's gonna win it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
to do what he's done the last year and this year, completely grenading himself and still coming back and say, watch this. Man, I'm not betting against the dude ever again. Maybe when he starts shitting in his pants and talking to himself, I'll doubt him. But until then, no.
Yeah, I think Jett's going to get the win. I'm there with you. I want to say AP gets a moto podium because he got second there last year. I'd say he gets a moto podium, but I think the podium ends up being like overall Jett with the first, and then Hunter second, Jay Coop third. But I think AP will get a moto podium in there somewhere. But it would be cool to see him put 2 motos together. But I just feel like Jay Coop with the starts, and then Hunter with the speed, and Jett with the speed. It's kind of hard to beat. But again, it'll be interesting. But I feel like Jett will end up taking this lead, and we'll see what Sexton does. I hope his bike's better. But I still feel like, I don't know. I just say Hunter and Jay Coop on the podium. I could see Jett, or I can see Coop, Sexton there too, but he didn't look comfortable at Thunder Valley. And if that's the situation, High Point's not going to be any easier on that bike either. So
now, do you think Christian Craig will improve or at least stay in the top 10 again?
Yeah, it was cool to see, right? I mean, he started off, obviously he's got that elbow issue, and first round wasn't the greatest, but he top 15, and then last week he gets top 10. And so I think it's steady building. I think a healthy Christian, obviously without the elbow injury, he could be, top 5. I think for this outdoors, he'll be in that 7 to 10 range. Maybe gets, maybe a little bit better than that. But I know it seems like after every moto, he's got to go put that elbow in ice and stuff like that.
Yeah, because when he was on Honda a couple years ago outdoors, he was killing it.
I
want to say at that WW Ranch round they had in Florida, he was ripping. I can't remember. Did he get a podium down there, like a moto podium? I can't remember, but he was like right there. He was just hauling the mail.
Well, even that last year on Star,
out there.
Even the last year he was on Star before he switched to Rockstar Husky. That year that Dungey came back and all that, he was in that 4 to 5, 6 range every moto, right? He was up there in the front. And obviously he had the confidence from the Supercross championship, so he was up front, and it is with starts. starts with confidence. So if you're confident, you're probably going to get a start. If you're not, probably not going to get a good start. So, and Christian's usually good at start. So if he pulls a start, it'll be interesting to see, how much he can stay up there. But I feel like all things considered with the injury he's coming off of, he's already gotten the top 10. That 6 to 7 to 10 range is kind of think where he's at, but who knows? He might, he's obviously talented. He's been good outdoors for a long time. So he could get it in there, but with his injury, I just don't know if he can hang that long.
Yeah, and we do have one guy who's skipping out for some rounds until I think later on this season, Justin Hill. He no injury, no nothing. So if you guys are wondering what happened to Justin, Justin's going on vacation. Man, the guy's earned it, right? So
Yeah. I mean, he's just trying to get points for SMX, right? And we all know these guys that aren't on factory teams outdoors isn't paying the most money, right? So he's done solid too. I feel like for not racing outdoors in a while, and all things considered, I mean, shoot, he was like 11th last weekend. He's been around like that.
that Tedder team's rad, man.
Yeah, it
Dakota's
is.
cool as hell.
Yeah.
All the mechanics there are cool as hell. So I think they've done great Supercross and outdoors this year, and I hope they go hang out at the lake and have a couple beers and have a good time and come back for SMX and piss some people off. I think it'd be great.
I also saw him on the entry list for Mammoths in 2 weeks, so that'll be cool. I'm sure it's just more of a fun thing, right? It's nice to be up there. But yeah, I saw he was on the entry list for the 450 Pro class. So
Mammoths in 2 weeks? I thought they moved it to August.
no, that was last year because of the snow and everything. Yeah, like I head up next Wednesday for the vet weekend, and then the following weekend is the big bike weekend with non-vets. And so I saw on the entry list you have like Hill, Villapoto is going to be there.
So that's the same weekend as X Games, then, huh?
It's on the weekend of the 25th or whatever.
Yeah, that's the same weekend as X Games. So we're not gonna do Southwick. We're gonna Southwick's that same weekend. We're gonna cover the X Games that weekend. So
one more guy,
man.
Yeah, I know, right, man, dude. Mammoth is it. I'm not gonna be up there because I'm gonna be up there that weekend, so I won't be up there for the big bike weekend. But it's cool, man. When you see the entry list for the 450 Pro class, you have guys that are coming up like Enzo Timmerman and all, these guys, the amateur guys, and you have the season pro, like the guys that used to race like Villapoto, and you got Cole Martinez and Justin Hill. So it's fun to watch, right? It's a cool.
Is Justin on the entry list for Mammoth?
Yep. Yeah, I looked
cool.
this morning. Yeah, so that's cool. He's running his old amateur number. I think it's 154 or 164. So
hey, you guys see that? The Hill 317. That's his Daytona 2013 jersey right there. That one's pretty sweet.
it's crazy. 2013, man. 12. What? 11 years.
Yeah, think
ago?
about that. It's been 11 years.
Yeah, it's wild.
He did take a little break to become a crime fighter in Oregon and stomp out shard smokers, but I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, he probably obviously he has that to go back to if he needs to, but he probably was like, man, I got to work this hard for how much pay? I'll just ride my dirt bike. So
yeah, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he still does all right, man. He's got monster backing, so Justin's not hurting.
No, for sure. And the last one I want to mention for 450 class, I just saw that Phil Nicoletti's going to be back. We saw that crash he had at Hangtown. It says his knee's not 100%, but it's cool to see him back. I was hoping he wasn't out for the summer because we know this is his last season. He's always been good outdoors. Obviously, he's good at Supercross too, but he's been on the podium in the 450 class outdoors. So I'm happy to see him back. Knee's not 100%, but it's cool that he's back and he's not, that didn't take away his season.
I liked his late 30s recovery strategy. Go sit out on the boat and drink a beer.
I'm like, wait, you're coming back this weekend, but you're just out there on the boat with Webb and all those guys. Yeah, I mean, but again, he's been racing all year. He'll be fine.
Hey, but you know what? He's not stressed.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Body recovers well when you're not stressed.
Anything else for Highpoint?
No, I'm really excited. I hope, like I said, I hope Haiden doesn't buy into the hype and try to huck that step down and grenade himself. And I just hope we get everybody through there safe and healthy, and hope for some big hits and some sick edits, and just get ready. That'll be my last race for a while. covering races. Nate's gonna take over. Well, actually, what am I thinking? I'm going to Redbud, so I'll be out until Redbud. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I need to take a little break too, so I'm glad the break's coming up. It's been a long stretch since I got back into Nashville.
Yeah, and I bet it was really hard to convince you to go to Redbud. It's probably a pretty fun
Dude,
one.
I just thought about it and I'm like, Redbud, America. Yeah, I'm in.
You're like,
Take my
nah,
money.
I'd rather
Take
go
my
to
money.
I'd rather go to Southwick. Just kidding.
It's, Southwick was rad, but I got lucky. The year I went, it was like 70 degrees, no humidity, and everything I've ever heard like that was like the one year out of 100 that it hasn't been hot and humid. So I don't think I'm ever going to go back to Southwick just because I don't want to hate the place. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
we'll
I'm
be
gonna go sit on the beach in Ventura and watch Raha and Evans and those guys go ham on their bikes and McNeil and them.
well, let's hope at Redbud that you're out there with your vest on, but American flag painted all over, doing the whole thing. So
Oh, dude, I'm going full Ricky Bobby out there, dude. I gotta go get some American flag shorts, shirt, bandana,
you should
koozie.
just get a big old American flag, and as the guys are going by the sand roller, just be waving it.
I don't think MX Sports would be down with that, but yeah, there's gonna be some America going on with old Beaver here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's awesome. So, well, that's our site lap for High Point. One more time, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors: Rock and Turf, Max's Tires, Speed Strap, Factory Connection, UR Water, and Baja Designs. Until Riders meeting. See ya.